Gorcom, in which we speak to small cap executives right after they put out important news. Today, we've got not one, but two companies on. Empower Clinics trades on the CSE under the stock symbol CBT, and in the US under EPWCF. We got Steve McCauley. Empire Clinics, for those of you who are new to the story, that's going to be a lot of you because they're getting a lot of market attention. A vertically integrated health and wellness company. They're serving a database of about 165,000 patients through clinics in the Southwest US, plus a telemedicine platform and a world-class medical diagnostics lab. More than just lip service, they've shown continued growth on patient revenue and income side for Q4, Q1, and Q2. The other company with us, Loop Insights, trades on the venture on the stock symbol MTRX, and for our friends in the US, RACMF. They're a provider of contactless solutions and artificial intelligence to drive real-time insights, enhance customer engagement, and automated contact tracing to the brick and mortar space. Again, more than just lip service there. They've had tremendous success also. Just recently announced a great agreement with TELUS, who's going to resell their products all over Canada. Vegas Bubble, we're going to be providing venue tracing and contact trace solutions, as well as a number of other ones. Hey, Rob, that's unbelievable what you guys have been able to do in the last 30 days. The headline we're talking about today, these companies have combined have come together for venue tracing with COVID-19 expertise to create their first ever travel bubble solution for the global travel industry that's set to lose $3.3 trillion a year. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, George.
Hey, George, thanks for having me.
Guys, this is a great press release. In fact, it's almost unimaginable how big this is. The two Canadian small cap companies are going to be able to tackle it. Before we get into some of the details, you guys are two parts of this travel bubble solution. So let's walk through it briefly so people understand how this practically applies to them. Let's start with Loop, because you're the front end facing part of the solution, Rob. So maybe you can walk us through that, and then we'll move on to Steve on the Empower side with the COVID-19 testing part.
Sure, and I'll use the airlines, and well, it's the same, I guess, with the cruise ships. But the challenge right now is our government needs to wake up. I mean, they're shutting down economies. We're not the only country, so I'm not blaming Canada. But to have no plan in place to eliminate the 14-day quarantine is absolutely absurd. Now there's articles coming out that the Canadian government's looking to buy a position. So I'm not really sure what agenda government's looking out for, but it's most definitely not about small business, and that's a fact. So providing the airlines, the cruise ship, the hospitality industry, the ability to reopen now is what Loop and Empower partnered for. So in our case, we have an end-to-end solution for tracing, for payment, for contactless engagement, as we've talked about before. When you add now the power of what Empower and the lab testing capabilities, there is no need for 14-day quarantine. The minute that person comes off the plane, there's ability now to have testing set up, to have complete security around all of the results, and have anonymity. And what I mean by that is right now, all of these news articles that I keep reading and on the radio, on global, the news at night, is just a cry. And it's, hey, we've had exposures, come help us. And, everyone just gets more anxious. There's no need for that. With our platform, the audience is 100% segmented, and it's only notified directly to your phone, whether it's an email, a voice call, whatever it may be. There's no need for this generalized red alert. Oh my goodness.
Steve, your side is the testing side, which is obviously equally critical of this, because with Loops, I've got on my phone, it's a wallet pass. I can get on the plane. I can be identified. I can be alerted. Where does Empower fit in all this?
Yeah, this is a great partnership for us. I mean, we have been spending some time working with Rob and his team, going through the platform and understanding. And I can tell you, this is state-of-the-art technology. It's effective, but most importantly, it's simple and it's easy to use and it's functional. So when we think about what our strengths are, so think of the supply chain of testing. So there's the front end specimen collection, however that might take place. And you've seen with prior releases, we are now deep into our 4-stage national rollout of our testing platform. But then the other great asset that we have in our books now is Kai Medical Laboratory, that has the capability of not only providing rapid tests to be deployed at point of collection, but also to do the back-end RT-PCR testing, of which we can process 4,000 specimens per day right now. That's our current capacity. So given the capacity that we have, the scientific expertise, having the ability to run the specimen collection at point at the point where the patient or the consumer might be, and then combining with large testing capability, we think putting the two facets together is a tremendous solution to help open up the economy.
And Steve, you say simple and easy, but that's only because you've made it simple and easy. It's not something very many companies can do. Don't sell yourself short, that's for sure. Rob, I'm gonna take an excerpt from the press release here, because this is not just two small cap companies getting together and saying, "Hey, let's slap our solutions together and see what we can come up with." Quote, "The company advises discussions are already underway with major airlines, cruise ship operators, and hotel." Rob, can you give us a little bit of insight into what those conversations are looking like, what the urgency is like, and the acceptance of this travel bubble solution?
Sure, it's dynamic because there's just so many challenges right now, George. I mean, you got boats that are traveling around the ocean empty. You've got airlines that are struggling to gain confidence. You've got people that are looking to go, see family. I mean, I've got a buddy who's, down in the US who's on his deathbed. I'd love nothing more to go see him, but 14-day quarantine. Like it's asinine. So the challenges are everybody, and it's not just these industries here. It's the mom and pop grocery store and convenience store on the corner. Everyone has to remain open. Where today, and our goal here with Steve is to put a plan in place, to present it, continuing again to the government, to show them exactly now how we can reopen the private sector. Because right now, putting your head in the sand, sending everybody home for 2 weeks again in Toronto is doing no good at all. So
people are revolting. In fact, there are protests in the street now where people are saying we're just not going to do it.
It's nonsense. And the next couple of weeks here, I think are absolutely imperative from a government, and to see someone step up. Alberta is I don't know if you saw that article with their health minister. I mean, they're in even rougher shape. So it's not going anywhere. Putting the head in the sand's not solving anything. So we're providing them a turnkey solution that can be replicated over and over and over.
So it's not just airlines and cruise ship operators you're talking to, but it's also governments that these discussions have. And if you don't mind, can you give us a sense for what those conversations are like? Are they well advanced? Are they right at the very beginning? And what's the excitement on the other side that you guys may have a solution?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, and of course I can't say too much, but we're way down the path. We know that's not a surprise to anyone. The belief that the federal tracing app was going to solve all the problems, we know that's not a reality. We all knew it was going to take a multitude of solutions, and the private sector was going to play a big part of that. I mean, this look back in time for decades and decades. It is not a surprise to anyone. So we're way down the path.
That's
the
great.
Escalation of COVID and phase 2, phase 3, depending upon who you're talking to, is here upon us and inevitable to grow. Look at the global numbers in the press release. How many countries are shut down? It's not just here in Canada. This is a global issue.
On that note, Steve, there's also part of the press release where you guys make a joint statement. It says, Loop and Empower believe the travel bubble combination of frequent testing and robust international trace platform provides the end-to-end protection necessary to spark a strong global economic recovery. I mean, that's all. I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that almost seems too good to be true. But the fact of the matter is, someone has to save the day and someone has to save the world at the end of the day. And it looks like it may be you guys. Can you speak more to that as to, whether that almost intimidates you as the size of the problem, or your confidence level that, yeah, we can actually solve this?
Hey, the size of the problem has incredible magnitude. It doesn't necessarily intimidate us. We know we can't solve every country's problems, but we know that we can definitely get to private sector, public sector, and bring this solution to the table. As Rob and I were discussing, how to put an implementation plan in place, we quickly realized that we're both having independent conversations with small, medium, and large entities. And if we could cross-reference those opportunities and bring a more viable, cohesive solution together, because you need contact tracing and testing. One without the other isn't a complete solution. So again, it was really relatively obvious for us that if we can find a way to really collaborate and work together, we've got a fighting chance to make a difference and to make an impact. We think we can make a scalable impact to this. Right now, it's about getting awareness out, but I can tell you that I go right from this call into a large group that owns elder care facilities in the Southwest United States. There are thousands of patients and their families that are impacted just by this one conversation that I'm having. Rob's having the same conversations with large organizations like NC2A and the tech bubble that's coming up in the bubble that's coming up in Las Vegas. We've already been in discussions with cruise lines. We know that Rob's been in discussions with cruise lines. So as Rob used the word dynamic a little bit earlier. That's what it's like for us right now. It's kind of wild and dynamic and crazy, but we have got a solution that we believe is extremely viable and is going to make an impact to getting this economy back up and running.
Hey, Rob, is the timing perfect here? Because if you guys try to, do this 6 months ago, you wouldn't have had TELUS third-party validation, the Vegas bubble for the NCAA, the University of Houston. Steve wouldn't have had the time to show Q4, Q1, Q2 growth, the acquisition of this massive lab in Dallas, Texas, right in the heart of the medical world there. So when you're having these conversations, how much does your success with some of these names come into play? Because I got to assume that's very important. George and Bob just can't come along and say we got a solution, even though if we have it, the faith and confidence might not be there, but you guys have it because of you've got third-party validation.
Well, it is. Timing's everything in business and life. And it's much like our ticker symbol. People always ask me, what is Matrix? As I would just go watch the movie. Everything always happens for a reason. And, it's like I said, not that I'm taking credit for, COVID, but it's foresight around digital transformation. And, without a transformative solution or a future-proof roadmap, we're going to be hung out here high and dry for decades to come. The financial burden that this has put on the Canadian population here is it's sickening. And there's no need to go hire more people to throw more money at it. This is what artificial intelligence and automation is about. It's about machine learning. It's about managing these processes like we built here with Steve. It's a little frustrating, as you can tell here.
Yeah, but, I can tell you are. We all are, and I'm glad you're saying it, right?
It is, and right now is the perfect timing. And like I said, when we get into these conversations, we deliver. And at the end of the day, there's a global problem. Anyone just punch in COVID-19, revolt, protests, whatever it may be. I mean, you'll see videos of cities burned down again. I mean, it's rather alarming, and it's time here that groups like Empower and Loop come together and deliver something that's black and white in front of them. Here we go.
Steve, is it fair to say that in phase one, people put their faith in government to do the right things and help us get through all this? But now in phase two, are you hearing from, you've said that you've spoken to cruise ship operators, for example, and many other major film studios. I mean, you've already announced testing for a major film studio. We already know that. Is it safe to say that enterprise is much more willing now, in fact, almost demanding that you guys come forth with a solution because they've lost the faith in government?
Well, I mean, a thing to keep in mind here, the markets, my current major markets are in the US, and the US doesn't have a cohesive federal strategy to address these issues that we're talking about right now. Even at the state level, state by state, their success or failures vary dramatically. But there is one consistency in the United States, in all states. The numbers are out of control again. And they're not getting worse. They're not getting better. They're getting much worse for sure. There is frustration. There is dissent at all levels. And the other thing that's happening now in the US, this is becoming a legal matter. We see the society in the US as more litigious than perhaps we see back home here in Canada. But what we're seeing and we're hearing, not anecdote, but we have see this going on, is that employers are getting sued by employees if that employer is not demonstrating that they're doing all that they can to protect or provide health and safety, not only for employees, but for customers and vendors. So you've got industries now that are putting regulation in. So if you take film and television, you've got the Screen Actors Guild who are dictating policy. If you look at the cruise ship industry, the Cruise Line International Age Association have established policies for cruise lines going forward, which say all crew, staff, and passengers must produce a negative COVID-19 test 5 days before boarding, or they will not be able to board. And they need a very comprehensive contact tracing solution just to pull it all together and make it work. So it's becoming regulated now. Whether federal governments come in or state governments come in is almost irrelevant at the meantime, because the big industries are now legislating themselves to bring these solutions to market.
Hey, Rob, any decision like this still comes down to ROI. No matter what, money still matters at the end of the day. We know the losses are massive. You gave me an interesting stat the other day on a call about just how much the Ontario, or was it Canadian government, was losing from foreign students not being able to be here.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit to that if you don't mind, and then does that give you guys pricing power at the end of the day? Because the losses are so massive, no one's going to be bickering over cost. They just want a solution to get back to business.
Well, most definitely. I mean, no matter what angle you look at it, whether it's from a federal government standpoint, the impact by not having foreign students attending school in Canada this year will surpass $1.1 billion. So just think about that.
Just that.
That's just foreign students looking to reside in Canada to go to university. The numbers are absolutely staggering. So if I, said to you, hey, George, I'm going to make your headache go away and it's only going to cost you $100 million, and look at the numbers you've got left. I mean, what is the value? That's what someone's willing to pay. And right now we're in a very strong position. And, it's the same side of it. My call before this one with one of the major universities in the South, we're at 15% capacity for the ball season coming up. We have very limited revenue now because of it. They're all not just looking for today, George. In the US, what we're seeing, these large enterprise organizations are looking for 2021, 2022, 3-year roadmap, because they understand this is not going anywhere. Just like 9/11 changed the way security and travel, COVID and pandemic right now is forcing digital ID, digital wallets, and the complete end-to-end solution. So you're going to see testing. I guarantee you, mark my words, you will see testing in every major airport in our country in the next 6 months to 1 year.
Do you think you guys play a major role in that, Steve and Rob? Do you guys think that, if you got this travel bubble, that you guys would be a big part of that?
Oh, I think
we have part of it. I don't want to say
yeah,
big.
I think, that for me is an easy answer. Yes, we're going to be a part of it, for sure. The volume and scale is substantial. And to the extent that we can, from a business perspective in our partnership, gain some of that market share, then I think people are going to quickly realize that we have the capability, we have the operational skill set, we have the scientists and the diagnostic testing capability, and we have an elegant AI-driven solution for contact tracing. So I definitely think that we can play a role in that part of it. But as we've been discussing here, there are so many large facets for us to talk about. We together, we are already, independently talking to, Division I universities and colleges in the States and their athletic programs. You have some of these big Division I colleges, they generate in excess of $100 million US on their programs per year. So that is significant revenue that has been lost, and they're not going to regain it. That's revenue lost. So now, as Rob says, how are they going to plan to resolve this business problem that they have in years ahead? They have to figure out how to regain it in a safe and healthy manner, again, for all of the people who are in their system, players and coaches and staff, but also the fans. And without the fans attending, then they really can't generate the revenue streams that they normally expect.
Gents, I know you both have, you've done everyone a great service here by jumping on the middle of the day. You both have hard stops in 2 minutes, which is great because you're speaking to potential customers. So, Rob, maybe I'll ask you, is it safe to assume that, you can expect to see some kind of uptake commercialization coming out of this in the near future, or is it still going to be a long sales cycle in order to get this done?
No, I think it's very near. The thing that we built here, George, this can be replicated in every city across the world. It's a our data platform that can connect to any lab testing group globally. So it doesn't matter if it's government, doesn't matter if it's private sector, independent, whatever it may be. So no, this is something, like I said here, that we see a great opportunity and we're going after it.
Gentlemen, congrats. There's so much more we could talk about, but we're appreciative of the fact that you took out, 20 minutes of your time in the middle of the day. Congratulations on this. Looking forward to having you both on pretty soon in the near future, because it sounds like you've already got irons in the fire. And not just from a shareholder point of view, but from a citizen point of view, thanks for what you guys have done so far. And if you can really, make this happen, then you're going to be helping out everybody, not just financial, mental health, stress, anxiety, all of that. So good luck to you guys. And thanks for joining us.
Great. Thank you, George. Appreciate it.
You've been watching.
Thanks, guys.
You've been watching Steve McCauley. Empire Clinics trades on the CSC under the stock symbol CBDT. And for our friends in the US under EPWCF. Likewise, you've been watching Rob Anson, CEO of Loop Insights, trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol MTRX. Go watch The Matrix if you haven't, so you can answer the question. And for our friends in the US under RACMF. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great day. See you next time.